Good, happy Monday morning, January 6th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Monday morning edition of Good Morning, New Hampshire. Rise and shine, everyone. Let's get your Monday off to a good start. And we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some Good Morning, New Hampshire. We're going to begin with your local news. New Hampshire foreign policy experts weighs in on impact of Somalian killing. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
You strike at a senior official of the Iranian government, who, by the way, is a terrible guy, and it has consequences.
Jake Sullivan of the Carsey School of Public Policy at UNH says the U.S. has now entered a period of extreme risk.
Risk that we end up in a direct military confrontation with Iran as the result of further escalation.
Under the Obama administration, Sullivan was involved in the secret negotiations that led to the Iranian nuclear deal.
When the nuclear deal was in place, before Trump tore it up, none of this was happening. We didn't have this cycle of escalation and conflict.
Iran announcing today it is abandoning the limits of that deal,
which obviously moves them down the track towards a nuclear capability.
Sullivan says the U.S. counterterrorism mission against the remnants of ISIS in Iraq is also in jeopardy.
The Iraqi parliament has just voted in response to this strike to kick U.S. forces out of Iraq, which would make it much more difficult for us to keep pressure on ISIS.
Homeland Security here in New Hampshire is actively engaged with federal intelligence partners. They are reminding people if they see something to say something, and always protect yourself against possible cyber threats.
So not clicking on links from unknown senders, or making sure that you're not sending personal identifiable information via email.
State safety officials want to remind the public that Homeland Security starts with hometown security. So it's important to report anything you think is out of place in your community. Live in the studio, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's switch gears now and go into national news. In national news, Donald Trump responds to Iran threats. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
President Trump is on his way back to Washington tonight from Mar-a-Lago with that warning to Iran and that tweet, putting Congress on notice. Democrats say the White House is at risk of drawing the U.S. into another endless war. ABC's David Wright is in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Tonight, President Trump is practically daring the Iranians to retaliate, informing Congress by tweet, should Iran strike any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back, and perhaps in a disproportionate manner. That sort of saber-rattling worries Democrats.
Well, I really worry that the actions the president took will get us into what he calls another endless war in the Middle East. He promised we wouldn't have that, and I think we're closer to that now because of his actions.
The president has indeed repeatedly called for ending costly foreign wars. The plan is to get out of endless wars, to bring our soldiers back home, to not be policing agents all over the world. He said so as recently as New Year's Eve, specifically referring to Iran. I want to have peace. I like peace. And Iran should want peace more than anybody. But that night at Mar-a-Lago, the wheels were already in motion. After the president saw the protests at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and blamed Iran, the According to the New York Times, aides presented the president with a variety of options. The Times reports he chose the most extreme one. Around 5 p.m., January 2nd, he made the final call, authorizing the drone strike that killed General Soleimani. Some Democrats say there's no mystery about the timing, days before the impeachment process is set to resume.
We know he's deeply upset about that, and I think people are reasonably asking, why this moment? Why does he pick now to take this highly inflammatory, highly dangerous action that moves us closer to war?
David Wright joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida, where the president was spending the holiday. David, we just heard Senator Warren alluding to the timing of all this. We do know the impeachment process is still ongoing, now headed for the next phase, a Senate trial.
That's right, a trial at some point, Tom. The question is when. Today, Senator Lindsey Graham proposed changing the Senate rules to allow an impeachment trial to begin immediately, even though House Democrats have yet to forward articles of impeachment. Not clear that they have the votes to do that. So right now, the process is slightly on hold as the Democrats press for more witnesses. Tom?
David Wright for us tonight. David, thank you.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And now let's go into your business news. In business news, Dow futures dropped more than 100 points in geopolitical tension. U.S. stock index futures were sharply lower Monday morning amid ongoing geopolitical tension. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather and traffic. Let's begin with the weather first. Light snow returns for today. With more on that, let's take a listen to this weather video from meteorologist Eric Weglar.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Martin. When a hailstorm hit, he needed his insurance to get it done right away. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
Thanks for clicking on WMUR.com. I'm meteorologist Eric Weglar. A nice afternoon, a lot of sunshine for most spots, especially in southern New Hampshire. A few clouds, though, towards the north. Look at that, a nice sunset as we go into the evening hours tonight. Our temperatures are stuck around freezing, but as we were expecting yesterday, the wind from the north and the west would create a bit of a chill to the air, and sure enough, we are into the teens and the 20s for most spots across New Hampshire. The good news is the wind will gradually wind down tonight, so I think the bite to the air will go away as we go towards, say, first thing tomorrow morning. A few light snow showers up in the higher terrain. Great news for the ski slopes like Breton Woods, for example, Cannon as well. But you'll notice to the west in the Great Lakes, this is a vigorous area of spin in the atmosphere, very tightly wound and compact. But as it moves northeast into parts of Quebec, we will get the tail end of that system, and that means we'll get a period of light snow on Monday. Zero impact is expected to travel, no impact whatsoever, and we're watching a second system that may attempt to form midweek. We'll touch on that in just a moment. And the more certain part of the forecast is a unseasonably warm blast of air for the end of the weekend. So we'll show you the look tonight on Futurecast. Notice the clouds wane initially and then thicken up as we go into tomorrow morning. Our temperatures will fall off into the teens and the 20s, so seasonable for January. And then the snow gradually creeps in. Takes a little while, pretty dry at the surface. And the rates are so light, and we have sun out, obviously, as we go into the daylight hours, where a lot of this will be of no impact whatsoever on area roadways. It falls at a light pace and continues to do so. You may pick up an inch or two in the mountains, mainly above 2,500 feet, but below that, you may see a half an inch if you're lucky as we go into late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. Tuesday starts off with a lot of sunshine. I do think we'll see clouds mixing in, especially as we go into the afternoon. The winds are out of the south, so we will, yet again, climb into the middle and upper 30s. So for tonight, again, the teens and 20s are a good bet. Perhaps a few single digits north where we do escape most of the cloud cover. Whitefield and Berlin are the suspect areas for that. And for tomorrow, we're back up into the lower 30s across southern New Hampshire. Same deal in the Monadnock Hills. We'll take a stop in the Lakes region, the upper 20s to near 30. Again, we start off a little cooler north, so it'll take a little more to get up close to the freezing mark tomorrow afternoon. And in the North Woods, you guys will top out in the upper 20s as well. So this is the look at the 7-day forecast. You'll notice Wednesday we're still keeping the potential for a wintry mix, especially Wednesday morning. Models are not terribly convinced we even see low pressure form, so we'll keep the threat there. If it does form, maybe an inch or two at most, nothing really substantial. Thursday is very sunny but very cold with highs only in the lower 20s. A bit of a northwesterly wind will make it feel like the teens for much of the afternoon. And then here comes the warm blast Friday and Saturday. Look at this. We go from the 40s on Friday to the middle 50s Saturday afternoon. In fact, we could come close to breaking some records depending on where you are in southern New Hampshire. We'll have to watch that closely, but looks to be the warmest we've seen in easily a month or so before we crash back to reality for the end of the next weekend. Temperatures fall to the middle 30s.
Okay, and there you go on your weather. And now let's go into your traffic. And here's a look at your morning traffic this morning on your traffic map. And as you can see, we're seeing a lot of green roadways and a few little yellow spots and a few red spots. No major issues on those roadways this morning. And everything is moving perfectly good. Not too bad out there for this Monday morning commute. So that is good news there. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into New Hampshire life. Let's take a look at your event calendar in New Hampshire. There's one event happening at 5 o'clock p.m. today. Gibson's Book Club Discussion, A Little History of Philosophy, at 5:30 p.m. at Gibson Bookstore in Concord, New Hampshire. New England Reptile Expo held in Manchester on Sunday yesterday. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
Life's a journey. Along the way, earn toward a new GM vehicle with the Buy Power card from Capital One, because the most rewarding things in life are earned.
Back, thousands of animals are in New Hampshire today for the New England Reptile Expo. Snakes, lizards, and turtles were among the reptiles on display at the Doubletree Hotel in Manchester. Thousands of people came out to see the animals and pet supplies for sale.
It's a unique pet. Again, low maintenance, and there's that kind of cool factor that goes along with owning like a python of any kind. And I think, people are just fascinated with it.
Yeah, big crowd there too. If you missed it this time, the expo comes back on April 5th.
Okay, and there you go. Looks like a fun event there yesterday. And I have a reptile. My reptile over here, Zelda the turtle. She's my reptile. Reptiles are a cool pet to have. Zelda is pretty easy to take care of. We love her. And now let's go into your lifestyle and healthy tips right now. How to give yourself self-care a month at a time in 2020. Let's take a listen to that video from Dr. Jennifer Ashton from Good Morning America and ABC News.
Hi! My new book is out. The Self-Care Solution, A Year of Becoming Happier, Healthier, and Fitter, 1 month at a time. I'm so excited to tell you about it. One of the biggest trends in 2020 is self-care. Why is that? We need it, number one. Number two, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of others, and no one will really take the same kind of care of us that we can take for ourselves. It originated after I found myself at the hardest, darkest most difficult part of my entire adult life. And I was really looking for a way to get myself out of that, both physically and mentally, behaviorally, spiritually, you name it. And so it started with a little challenge that I made with myself, which entailed going dry for the month of January. That challenge was so interesting and impactful to me that it kind of led to a second challenge and then a third challenge and so on and so forth. And as I embarked on these challenges, I noticed a couple things. Number one, the community aspect of it was huge. It was also truly an experiment in self because I did learn a lot about myself with each month, with each challenge. And over the course of the year, I did largely develop 12 new habits that do have the ability to impact health and wellness much more so in aggregate than they do individually. In the book, The Self-Care Challenge, I kind of divided the year up into challenges that were in a couple of different categories. Because I have a degree in nutrition, food or nutritional challenges were a big part of that. And it didn't always involve cutting something that may be harmful out. Sometimes it involved adding something that may be beneficial. So an example of that would be the Hydration Challenge month, where I challenge myself to drink more water. And then there are some behavioral challenges, anything from push-ups and planks to taking more steps in a given day. Meditation is a challenge, or mindfulness. And then there were a third category that involved other things. So mindful tech use, where I actually tried to pay more attention to my use of technology. It's hard for me as a doctor and a medical correspondent to go off the grid, but at least I tried to be more mindful of when I was using my phone and anything with a screen. Every challenge not only has why I wanted to do it and what my own experience was, what I learned, but tips for you and the science behind these challenges. The concept is that self-care goes way beyond the spa day, the staycation. That absolutely can be a part of it, but I look at self-care from a medical and social standpoint as things that we can do for ourselves that cost no money, that take only minutes, that really have the potential to have some impact on our health and wellness, i.e., the way we care for ourselves. I hope that this acts like a year-long template for people to turn that lens on themselves, see what they are doing, what they're not doing, what they can add, what they can modify, what they can subtract, and hopefully keep some of them at the end of the year as wellness self-care habits. Obviously, my life is not what your life will be like for a number of reasons, but I think we all have commonalities that we can share and learn from when it comes to self-care.
Okay, and there you go. Good tips there. And now let's switch gears and go into entertainment news. Catch up on all the moments from the Golden Globes. Last night, the Golden Globes were on TV, and let's take a look at the moments that you might have missed, or if you did not watch it last night, you can see those moments. Let's take a look at that video.
My laptop's probably the most valuable thing I own. If someone stole it, I don't know what I'd do.
If it's worth owning, it's worth covering. Help protect your things for as low as 39 cents a day with renter's insurance from USAA.
Okay, and there you go. And another big moment that happened on the Golden Globes last night, Ellen DeGeneres received one of the biggest honors of her career at the 2020 Golden Globes. And here's what she said. And she accepted the Carol Burnett Award last night. We're all happy for Ellen DeGeneres. Congratulations, Ellen DeGeneres. We love your talk show. And now let's take a look at those celebrity birthdays for today. And happy birthday to all of these celebrities. We hope they all have a wonderful birthday and a wonderful day. And that is it for this edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. I hope you all enjoyed watching this edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you back here later on today for Good Evening New Hampshire. Goodbye, everyone.